Hey guys, my name is Jeff Gibson. I'm with True Covenant Ministry, and I want to make a video tonight about something we've came up talking about our whole lives in the church, and that's a period of time at the end of time. Um, it's called the tribulation. It's broken up into two halves. There's the first 3.5 years of the tribulation, and the second and final 3.5 years is the great tribulation. Our Messiah talks about this in Matthew 24. Uh, and he says, the disciples come and they ask him, when will these things be? What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And then he goes on to tell them the things that were going to happen at the end of the age, in that tribulation time. Um, And his warning is not somehow that we're going to change the things that happen at the end of time in that tribulation period. His warning is not to be deceived. If it were possible, even my elect would be deceived by these things. And we're told about a lie that's going to be told, or multiple lies that are going to be told at the end of time. And if it's possible, even his elect are going to buy into these lies. Um, and so this is kind of the angle we're looking at here, is that we should not be deceived by the things that are coming upon the earth, big things that are coming upon the earth. And it's my position that we are walking headfirst into that final 7 years. In fact, it is at the door. Um, and you cannot look at the things going on in the world and not recognize, Paul, paraphrasing here, he said that the world will be asleep when these things happen, that they will be drunk. And he said, but we will not be asleep. We will be sober, and we will see these things, and they will not catch us as a thief in the night. Um, so anyway, basically we're talking about a war that really began back in Genesis chapter 3 at the fall of mankind and carries on through to Revelation. We talk about that in a lot of depth in video 1 and 2. I'm going to just brush up on it, and let's go back to Genesis 3 and take a look. Um, Genesis 3, we all know the story. Adam and Eve and the serpent are in the garden, and the serpent tempts Eve to eat of the apple, of the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden. And uh, when they did, let's start up at about verse 8. And they actually, let's go back. To verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahweh walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh among the trees of the garden. And Yahweh called unto Adam and said unto him, where are you? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree which I commanded that you should not eat? And Adam said, well, it was the woman that you gave me, by the way. She gave me of the tree, and I did eat it. And Yahweh said to the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, well, it's the serpent's fault. He beguiled me, and I did eat it. And Yahweh said to the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field, and upon thy belly shall thou go, and the dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between the woman and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Um, So this begins a war, a seed war that began back in the Garden of Eden, between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. We find that that carries clear through the scripture all the way to the book of Revelation. I just want to quickly touch on that, and then we'll get into this thing. Uh, Jumping clear to the other end of the book in Revelation 12, we'll probably start out about verse 14. Uh, so here we go, and here we have the same characters, right, as in the garden. And the woman, to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle. So the woman is there that she might fly into the wilderness, into her space, into her place where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. So here we have the woman, here we have the serpent, and we have a specific period of time. We know this is the Great Tribulation, the final 3.5 years of the time before the millennial reign, the worst time our Messiah said the world would ever see. And the serpent and his seed are after specifically the seed of this woman. And let's look at that. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman and opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon had cast out of his mouth. And the dragon, that serpent, was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Guys, we were born into a seed war, and it comes to a climax during that final 3.5 years, really the whole 7 years of time. But it really comes to a climax in the final 3.5 years of time. And so the seed of the serpent and his seed are after the woman and her seed. How do we know who these seed of the woman are? Because it describes them perfectly. You can recognize them at a glance who these people are. If we finish up in verse 17, went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yeshua, the Messiah, HaMashiach. These people are keeping the commandments of God. We know that as the Torah of Moses, given to Moses, the commandments of God. We recognize that that is the Torah. These people are keeping the Torah. The seed of the woman are keeping the Torah and have a testimony of the Messiah. Let's go look at a whiteboard I've put together. Okay. Basically, in that final 7 year period, this seed war, the seed of the serpent, is still definitely involved in this. And the seed of there after the seed of the woman. And I would submit to you that we are seeing the rise right now of the seed of the serpent. We're going to get into talking about aliens and the lie that is behind the alien disclosure that's coming that will blow your mind when we look at this. And we're also going to be talking about the rise of AI. And we're going to be talking about a bloodline, a human bloodline of humans that are working along with, in conjunction with, the seed of. They are also part of the seed of the serpent. It's like a unholy trinity, if you will, that is going to rise up at the end of time and try to lie, try to deceive, try to attack literally the seed of the woman, and they will hate the seed of the remnant, this remnant of the seed of the woman. They will hate them above all else, and so we are literally watching these things rise up as we speak. And I wish that I could just put something together that, hey, it's an hour long, quick, easy, and over, that would talk about these things. But literally, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours researching these things. And you cannot cram hundreds of hours of study and try to pack this into a 1 hour video. It's just too much. This is the video in this whole series, or beginning the videos, that I've really been anticipating and looking forward to get to, because up to this point, we're just laying up the groundwork for this and a timeline to show where we're at in time. And by trying to figure out where we're at in time, I have no interest at all in when a rapture is going to happen, anything like that. But I do have a very uh, strong desire to be awake when these things happen. And so, anyway, having said all that, let's get into this video. Uh, I make this video for people that I love dearly, that I know maybe for whatever reason, maybe don't have time to look into these things. It blows my mind when I talk to people about the subject of aliens right now. That nobody knows what's going on. Our government has come out; they have acknowledged the existence of an alien, extraterrestrial. Uh, it's already been acknowledged, but yet people are blissfully unaware of the things going on with this subject. With artificial intelligence, uh, people do not have a clue what is about to hit them. Do not have a clue. Uh, we're about to be hit by something that is going to radically change everything we believe, everything we do, our place. We're going to get into these things. And then when we talk about these bloodlines, something we're going to see is that they're woven together. When we're looking at aliens, we're going to be looking at high technology and the quest for high technology in working with these aliens. There is zero doubt in my mind that these aliens are demonic. They are dark. They are not what they are representing themselves to be. And we're going to find out. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Uh, the same thing with AI. There is a very dark nature behind artificial intelligence, and we're going to find out some of the warnings coming out by the creators, not just people who are involved with AI, but the very people who created artificial intelligence. Now, are the vast majority of these people are coming out warning the world, look, this could be catastrophic. This could be the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity. These are not just people working with AI, but the very people who created AI are sending out this warning. These things both fit very well in the tribulation timeline. And then finally, we're going to be looking at bloodlines. And again, we're going to hear throughout, I don't care if you're talking about aliens or if you're talking about artificial intelligence, there is always in the background, there's always a discussion of a group of elites, a group of people who are working in conjunction behind the scenes, almost in the shadows, bringing these things about. And we know that there will be a bloodline, really, that goes back to the Tower of Babel, and really um, could possibly be even taken back before the flood. Uh, and so, anyway, we're going to talk about that. And, these are the things I say that people, my family, especially, my friends, the people I love, I'm making this video for them, because whether they don't have time to actually read, not everybody's got hundreds of hours to sit and study these things out. I just am one of them people that don't sleep a lot, so it, it works out for me. Right now it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Whether it's the fact that they don't have the time, or if it's the fact that they're looking off into a dark place and they're almost afraid to look at it because they don't want to see what might be looking back, right? Maybe there's a little bit of fear there. And I think both of those are probably the case. I think that people really don't want to know what's in the shadows. Sometimes people don't want to know what's there. So anyway, we're going to tear right into this thing. I wish we could just put it all together and tie it up with a bow and say, this is it. But you cannot cram hundreds of hours. We are literally scratching the surface of these topics. A guy you could do 30 videos just on any one of these subjects and not cover it all adequately. But we don't have that kind of time. People are not willing to spend that kind of time. Even if somebody else lays it out for them, they're not going to sit and watch. I've probably lost some of you, many of you maybe already. I've already hit that skip button or, clicked off and gone to something else, looked at cat videos or something. But anyway, let's tear into this. We're going to start out with the alien part of the story, and we're going to break this down into 3 videos. It looks like we're going to talk one about the aliens, one about the artificial intelligence, and one about the bloodline. This stuff, people are blissfully unaware. The first video clip we're going to look at is a lady by the name of Carol Rosin. She was a very good friend, and before Werner von Braun died, he kept telling Carol over and over, I need to tell you about something that I know, something that's coming. Werner von Braun was the head, the brains behind NASA. Pretty much him and a guy by the name of Jack Parsons kind of created NASA. They were the brains behind it. Jack Parsons, we'll talk about him a little bit later. NASA's right in the middle of this thing. But anyway, this is what Werner von Braun told Carol Rosin. And let's just play the video.
In 1974, after being a 6th grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Werner von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. And I said, teachers don't stop. June. He said, no, you have to understand. This is February. And we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies, he said, against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. Well, at the time, I kind of laughed.
Okay, I'm not going to spend much more time watching that. So Werner von Braun, back in 1974, I believe she said, told Carol that there would be a lie at the end of time. What are we warned about? Don't be deceived. Don't buy into a lie at the end of time. Who is our enemy? Well, he's the father of lies. And we're going to see that humanity, and through this alien and AI also, is going to introduce a lie to humanity. And, if it were possible, even my elect would be deceived. It will be extremely powerful. What we're going to start to do here is set out a timeline. of, we've been talking about it in our groups, for years, of the fall of 2025, something being birthed. And, we've been talking about it and predicting that for quite a while. In my first two videos, we put out a timeline. The Holy Spirit, the Ruach, told me, write this thing down, put it down on paper so people can actually visualize what you're talking about. And we were laying out a timeline beginning in the fall of 2025, going through the year 3032. We talk about how we end up in those years in video number one, video number two. I go into a lot of depth about it, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But basically, beginning in the year 2025, specifically in the fall months around the Feast of Trumpets, that will start a clock ticking. And we're going to see an onslaught of things that are going to happen from 2025 through 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, on through to 2032. So anyway, let's keep going, but we're trying to establish a timeline beginning in 2025, and we'll start to lay that out. You're going to see over and over that timeline coming into play.
27.
Okay, so let's keep going. I want to talk about now, we're going to talk about a guy. Let's go ahead and play the video and we'll talk about it.
Are benevolent, that does not. And now we're going to start to hear, they're going to start to use this story with these man-made craft, whether by Raytheon, whatever, to start creating problems, so that we think that these are some otherworldly beings, but they're really us doing it. And they're going to start shooting down aircraft now. That's crazy. And I've heard similar things. So I'm not, what you're saying comports with what I'm hearing separately. And it's scary, but I want to know, what's the end goal, right? When I sit here and I sit back with my cup of coffee and I think, okay, three-dimensional chess, the deep state, the cabal, what they want, the World Economic Forum. They want control. They want a control of our money supply. They don't want any sovereign states.
And I'm not going to do this every time, but I am going to point out, take two. These,
what do they want
that they're talking about? Who are these people? In the background, in the shadows, there's a group of people. And we're going to see this with alien technology. We're going to see this with AI, that there's a bloodline of people in the shadows, in the background. These people, he called them the cabal, the Illuminati, the Masons. There's a jillion different words for some of these groups. But it's basically a bloodline. When you get to tracking it out, there are names that come up that you are very familiar with that go back into that bloodline.
in this situation where they would want to start taking down aircraft?
And again, I got to stop for just a second. Who's being interviewed here? This guy was in the FBI, retired FBI, and he was in charge of UFO and paranormal activity. And so he was the guy in the charge in the FBI, and he's going to tell us what is about to happen on the earth. And so let me back this up again, and we'll take a little. John D'Souza, former FBI. Not just some nobody.
Want any sovereign states. They want a global environment that they control. Unelected leaders.
A bloodline.
What do they want in this situation where they would want to start taking down aircraft? What do you know from your experience in the FBI that this deep state, what do they want?
The end goal is, and this is a long-term psychological operation, as well as physical operation as well. The long-term goal is ultimately to put together this grand operation called fake alien invasion.
Okay. We're not going to spend a lot of time. That's Amazing video. Everybody ought to go watch it on Redacted. John D'Souza, former FBI, in charge of investigating. He was the one in charge of investigating UFO and paranormal things. And those are also both related. Extremely interesting video. So, what are they talking about? They're talking about a group of elites, a cabal, a bloodline, wanting a one world government. We read about these same things in our Bible. This fits very well with the scripture. Before you say, oh, that's tinfoil hat, crazy stuff, that's exactly what our Bible is telling us. Anyway, he's talking about setting up an event that's been a long term psychological operation. He said, it began back in the late 40s, 1947. This has been they've been setting this up for a long time. And they've been setting up the concept of an alien invasion. We're going to see, as crazy as that sounds, we're going to see that that's exactly where our government is taking us in the next very short amount of time. That there's a coming alien invasion, and we've got to prepare for it. We're going to hear that over and over and over. And the time frame we're going to find out for this deception is going to begin in the end of 2025. It's happening right now. We've been talking, it's already being leaked out. But let's keep going. We'll look at it. Okay.
Now,
Okay. The next guy we're going to talk about, Jeremy Corbell. It blows my mind when I talk to people about, UFOs and aliens, that people are blissfully unaware of the things that are going on. Our government has come out and acknowledged, look, there are aliens. They've already acknowledged that, but yet most people, whether they don't have the time or they just don't want to look in that dark place because of what might look back at them, I don't know. But the majority of the world is asleep. They don't know about this. And Jeremy Corbell, the guy we're going to watch this video, is the one who is setting up the witnesses for the Senate hearings, who are putting their hand on a Bible and swearing under oath that the things that people from within the government, that the things that they have seen, they're giving testimony about, and under penalty of prosecution for lying, they are revealing a lot of things. So let's keep going.
A House Oversight and Accountability Subcommittee held a historic hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena, also known as UFOs. Lawmakers heard from 3 witnesses today, including former U.S. military and intelligence community personnel who claim to have come into contact with such objects. Natalie Brand has more now from that hearing.
We have nothing close to it.
Retired Navy Commander David Fravor testified before Congress about an encounter he cannot explain. A strange tic-tac shaped object he says he saw in the sky during a training mission in 2004.
The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are digging into the national security concerns and the mystery posed by unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, also known as UFOs.
Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years. I know the exact locations.
A whistleblower who formerly worked on the Defense Department's UAP task force, David Grush, claims he was denied access to information on a government UFO crash retrieval program, something the Pentagon disputes.
Biologics came with some of these recoveries.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the...
Tonight, you've heard the testimony about a secret government program to retrieve and reverse engineer UFOs.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes.
News Nation was the first to bring you this story.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
And now, for the first time anywhere, a military veteran comes forward to say he was part of that program, with video to prove it.
My work has included the recovery of downed UAP of non-human origin.
Revealing how he retrieved alien craft.
What did you see?
I saw an egg.
How it changed his life forever.
What we call a psionic component to the research and development of the UAP program.
And how he plans to do it again for the world to see.
The skies are not classified. Your conscience can't be redacted.
His account, corroborated by his colleagues, and his injuries sustained during these operations, confirmed by a Stanford professor.
My personal experience is that there's something here.
Will the truth set him free, or will it get him killed?
People have been murdered.
That seems to be the case.
This is Jeremy Corbell, the guy that's lining up the witnesses for these Senate hearings. He is very deeply involved in this subject. And I just want to put out there right now, I don't know how to bleep words. There's a couple of videos that are going to have some strong language. I apologize for that. I'm just an old cowboy and I don't know how to do this fancy stuff. I couldn't tell you how to bleep them. It's amazing that I'm putting this video together. But anyway, here we go. Jeremy Corbell.
Your government now wants you to know one truth, and that truth is that UFOs are real. They've already done told you. Sometimes when you want somebody to know a truth, it's so you can set them up to believe a lie, and that's coming. I have zero doubt that lie is coming.
What is the lie?
Specifically, you want me to say it right now, for real? Real? On camera? To be put in the show?
Yes.
Okay. Problem with that. If we tell the lie before it's told, they can adapt. That wouldn't be wise. I'll tell you privately, but I would really think about if you want to put this in your show. For real. That's a real thing I'm telling you. So will you think about it before putting it in your show?
Absolutely.
Okay. So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced.
You know, I think I want to stop there and look at the next video, and then we'll come back to this one. You know, I do want to key in on the point about the lie, right? What are we warned about all the way through when it's talking about the end of the time? The end of times, don't be deceived. If it were possible, even my very elect would be deceived. This again fits very well into that tribulation timeline. But we're going to be told about a craft heading toward the Earth, coming from outer space. You know, that's going to be the lie. I just want to point out, and I'm not saying I think this is it, but it's something that's in the news as we speak. Let's take a look.
What if an interstellar object whirling through our solar system is actually a nuclear-powered spacecraft sent by aliens to test how humans respond? That's what a noted astrophysicist believes might be the case, and he says an image from the Hubble telescope backs him up. Most scientists agree that the so-called 3I Atlas is a comet from another solar system. But Harvard scientist Avi Loeb claimed on this show a couple of weeks ago that it could actually be some type of alien technology. Now, that's a controversial opinion all on its own. But he's now going a step further, arguing that the 3I Atlas could be a nuclear-powered alien spacecraft. Loeb says the Hubble picture appears to show the object emitting its own light. The object also appears to lack something that all comets have in common, and that's a tail. So what is this thing exactly? Well, joining us now is Avi Loeb.
Okay, again, Avi Loeb, Harvard astronomer. He's got a very and he's not alone. There's a growing group of people who are saying this thing is not acting normal. Now, I'm not here to tell you that that's some spacecraft coming from, outer space. But what I am saying is they're planting a seed in people's mind that could be possible. There could be a spacecraft. I don't. We'll find out pretty quickly. I think end October, this thing's going to be in our solar system, and passing by all of the planets, which is pretty odd. But I'm not here to tell you that's it. But what I am here to tell you is they're planting a seed in people's brain that this could happen, right? And it's all happening at about the same time. I think this is all part of a bigger plan of a deception that's coming. But anyway, let's go back and take a look, finish out the video that Jeremy Corbell was talking about. Back it up just a second so we kind of get back where we were.
I want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. I'm not going to be part of it. Not going to say it to the camera.
Okay. Again, talking about a lie. What are we warned about at the end of time? Don't be deceived. Don't buy into the lie. And that this concept actually comes from a document back in the 1970s, about the same time as Werner von Braun is telling Carol Rosin, look, attend the last card that they play will be that they have to create a space-based weapon system to protect ourselves against an alien invasion. The head of the FBI saying that what they're going to set up is a grand illusion of a fake alien invasion. And the time frame, we're going to find out all of these things are going to be beginning in the year 2025 and carrying through 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. This time is going to pop up over and over and over, and it's going to be like the perfect storm of all of these things happening at the exact same time. Let's keep going. This gentleman here, we got to set up a little bit of foundation. I forgot his name, but he was working at the Pentagon. He stumbled onto information that was not meant for his eyes. And when he found it, he ultimately went through the chain of command trying to warn, what he saw. And they basically blacklisted him, and he ended up having to quit. Jeremy Corbell, the guy we just watched the video, set up a Senate hearing with him and the Senate in what's called a skiff. You can't have any kind of technology in these rooms. It's highest classified meeting you can have. And he told the Senate what he knew, and they were going to have a hearing on that. And basically, I remember I was watching the day it happened. They brought him into the Senate to have an open mic hearing with him. And basically, when they asked him to introduce himself, and I forget his name. And as soon as he did, the senators, aides came to each of the senators and started whispering something in their ear. And they began to look around at each other, and they said, I guess we can't go forward with this hearing. And they said, I guess we're done. And basically, this guy that we're about to watch, when he came out, his only protection, he believes that his life is in danger. His only protection was to go to the Senate, tell him what he knew, and that surely nobody would have, the guts to kill him or do something to him or his family after he had come forward. Well, they shut the book on that. They did not allow him to say it. And so now his only recourse is to come and make a video telling the world what he knows. And again, we're going to hear about a group of elites that are trying to enslave humanity. Fits very well with our Bible story and the tribulation timeline. And again, it begins now. Let's watch what he's got to say.
The secrecy apparatus is not just in the intelligence community governing their world. It's not just in the military protecting their operations. It's not protecting our diplomats and leaders as they conduct their work, sometimes in very dangerous places. It has been allowed to corrupt and infest every aspect of our society to serve the interests and whims of a very elite, select few.
And it's been used to intimidate, threaten, destroy the lives of people like yourselves who have been doing their job, keeping their oaths, trying to protect their country, being true to humanity, and have paid prices for it.
Absolutely.
This has been a difficult process for you, for me and you, kind of going through this. I've seen what you've gone through personally with this. You're taking a personal hit, like a painful risk, just talking to us, just doing this finally after all this time. I think I understand why. You're explaining something philosophical, what you believe about the secrecy, just personally. Like, what is the step for you to do this? Like, why? I need to understand why. Why are you telling this to everybody now?
There's no short answer. It's something, I have many, not even competing, but parallel motivations. But why now? Look out at the world. Look inside our country. We are not headed to a good future.
You're concerned.
I am.
Explain the concern.
Ultimately, my biggest fear is what humanity will do to itself out of fear and greed, and what we have done. And we have built a prison around ourselves. It's invisible, but it's not complete. And there is still time to maybe alter our trajectory, have a different future. May not be the best one that we had hoped for, but it's going to be damn sight better than what they have planned for us.
There's no going back. Yeah.
All right. I don't need to go on again. The program that he stumbled onto accidentally, and it was not for his eyes to see it, but he stumbled onto this. It was a program called Immaculate Constellation about aliens and what's coming upon the world right now. And the concept that he lays out there, that there's a group of elites setting up a concentration camp basically for humanity, and that it's about to be tripped. We're about to step into a place where we cannot escape from, and it's basically what he's talking about is basically part of this unholy alliance between these aliens that are clearly demonic. We're going to see that over and over. Working with a group of people, humans, that are in this unholy alliance together, this bloodline, this seed war, if you will, that are working together. And, you know, the they that he's talking about are these very select group of people. You know, we talk about this sometimes in our meeting, and we've gone through and we've identified a lot of these people and their names that you are very familiar with. I will say this, that you can almost always identify them with extreme wealth, gross extreme wealth. And it's all about greed, right? You know, what is the root of all evil? Money. All of these things fit very well in our tribulation timeline, and they are, we're going to see over and over and over this timeline of 2025, 2027, 2028. You know, we are walking into this. So let's keep going. Okay, you know, we watched a story by Carol Rosin that she was warned by Werner von Braun. When you see them building a space-based weapon system, it's gonna be a lie. And she, you know, he told Carol, he said, this will be the final card. Once they put that space-based weapon system in place, they will own humanity. There will be no escape. And they're going to say that they need to do it for, you know, she said first they're going to say because of Russia, then they're going to say because of rogue nations, and then they're going to say because maybe asteroids. We need this space-based weapon system. And the final card, she said, the final card will be the alien invasion. So when you see them building the space-based weapon system, know that that is the final card that they're going to play. So let's play this video and we'll talk at the end of it.
In the campaign, I promised a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for the state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful, and now we have technology that's even far advanced from that, but including hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles. All of them will be knocked out of the air. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland, and the success rate is very close to 100%, which is incredible when you think of it. You're shooting bullets out of the air. I'm also pleased to report that the one big, beautiful bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome to help construction get underway. That's the initial.
I'm going to stop there. So the very thing that Werner von Braun was warning Carol Rosin about, we're told by President Trump, will be completed by the year 2027. You know, basically the warning has been that when they put that in place, there is no escaping it. Once they hit that point, they can literally call fire down from heaven upon anybody, anywhere. And, you know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but we're seeing that happen. They are building it as we speak. we're walking into this thing very quickly. Let's keep going. We got a few more things to cover. I don't know what this is. Okay, again, looking at this timeline, right? We've heard from John D'Souza from the FBI. Let's hear from his counterpart from the CIA, who was investigating alien things for the CIA. Let's hear him talk about it and a timeline.
Are familiar with retired CIA officers. He has been making the rounds the last couple of years talking about really intriguing things, in particular this one briefing that he sat in on where he has disclosed some really startling information. And I've talked about that before, and many of you will have seen interviews with him. Well, he recently sat down and shared something shocking, that the government knows of, that the aliens are going to arrive in 2027. Now, since the beings are already here and have likely been here for a long, long time, it's unclear what exactly he means by that. Does it mean like a mass unveiling? They're just going to fly over the cities of the world and announce themselves? What precisely does this mean? I don't know. But before we talk any more about it, let's listen to what John had to say. Here goes.
Decades, and this show up, there will be mass panic. But if you understand that these are real, and we have 5 years from 2022, or maybe now 4 years, if they come in 2027, for the U.S. government to prepare the people about what is up there. And in many ways, I think the word got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027, and we better be prepared. And if not, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. And so I think that dialogue has happened with previous decades, and this show up, there will be mass panic.
Fascinating, right? So
not gonna, again, there's John Ramirez has put out quite a few videos. He's coming out and saying, look, we got to warn people about what's coming, and there's a lot of whistleblowers coming forward right now. But he's predicting a time of 2027, and we're going to find out, by our own government at the end of this video, that timeline is absolutely valid. Hopefully my mic doesn't quit on me here. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so this guy's name is Nick Pope. I don't have time, and I don't think I could keep your interest long enough to go through all of the people from within governments that are coming out saying the very same thing. We have the Space Force commander from Israel coming out saying, yep, this is legitimate, this is real. You got the defense minister from Canada coming out saying, yep, these things are real. If I could tell you everything I knew, it would blow your mind. But I can't tell you everything, but I will say that these things are real. UFOs are real, and we're going to be dealing with them very quickly. This gentleman, his name is Nick Pope. He was worked for the United Kingdom, and he was in charge in the United Kingdom of investigating all the alien UFO incidents. And so this is that guy that was in charge of their program. And let's listen to what he's got to say.
It's related. I've heard for some time, I've probably heard for the last 2 years on and off, people talking about 2027. One or two people have said 2026 actually, but 2026, 27. I've heard these rumors for a couple of years that there is going to be something big, and people have assumed that that is disclosure, that this is controlled disclosure. Everything we see is part of a drip feeding process to acclimatize people ahead of the actual event in 2027. Now, the idea that the event is going to be the arrival of a ship, and
All right. You know, once again, we're hearing the same thing over and over and over from these different governments from around the world. Nick Pope from the United Kingdom. Let's keep going. You know, well, we'll talk about it more later. We're talking about a timeline, and 2027 keeps popping up. I don't care if you're talking about AI or alien, uh, or the timeline of these people that we know of as having come from this bloodline. These years keep popping up, 2025 to 2032, over and over and over. Let's keep going. Let's see where I got to go. Okay. Uh, Actually, I think I want to go here first. We've got just a couple more videos to go, and then we'll stop. These people here were the Fall brothers that came out with a documentary back in 2017. Basically, they got their hands on through the Freedom of Disclosure Act and some FBI documents that were amazingly unredacted. You know, John D'Souza that was on Redacted that was talking about this fake alien invasion, the FBI guy that was talking about that earlier, he also is mentioning this document. I think it's document 6571 from the FBI, and you can pull it up on your laptop or your computer and read it for yourself. And I have. This stuff is legitimate. What he's about to say is coming straight from this file, this FBI file. And so all of the information he's going to give, he's going to start talking about a gentleman named Jack Parsons, who was basically, you know, there was no school of rocketry back in 1947. There was no college where you could go and learn that. Jack Parsons was a protege of a man by the name of Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley is the one who wrote the Satanic Bible. And L. Ron Hubbard, Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, who began working on the rocketry for NASA. You know, about the same time that Werner von Braun was coming in for NASA. But Jack Parsons was, by his own admission, and wrote many manifestos about how he was a Satanist and how he would do satanic rituals. And the story goes, and in this FBI document, that he had done a satanic ritual that opened up a portal, and that things came through this portal, this explosion of UFO activity back in 1947, and paranormal, not just UFO, poltergeist type activity began to happen. And they approached Jack Parsons and asked him, do you know anything about this? Did you? And he said, I think I do. And this is where this video takes up, that he had performed a satanic ritual that he thought had opened up a window to other realms. And in this FBI document, and they're going to get into it a little bit, it clearly says back in the late 40s and early 50s that these things are not aliens. In this FBI document, that they're not from Alpha Centauri or something like that, that these things are interdimensional beings, that they are not physical, and that they are malevolent. They are not friendly. You know, that's exactly how you would define a demon, by the way. And all of this information is coming off this FBI document, and it's legit. It's a real deal. The FBI guy on Redacted with Clayton Morris talking about this fake alien invasion is he mentions this document over and over and said it's a legitimate deal. But anyway, this is where this video takes up. That Jack Parsons has performed a satanic ritual opening up a portal to another dimension, allowing these things to come in from another dimension that we know of as aliens. And I just want to put out there too, this was not watched, you know, by a lot of people. This didn't, let's talk about that too for a second, because it becomes important. This was produced in 2017. Not a lot of people saw it. The Fall brothers are kind of starting to gain a little bit of traction now in 2025. They're continuing to make documentaries, but they are loosely connected with people like Gary Stearman, Prophecy in the News. Tom Horn was a tremendous, he's gone on to be with the Lord now, but he was a tremendous end time scholar, profound man that had a tremendous amount of wisdom. But anyway, these brothers, the Fall brothers, are loosely associated with that ministry and those people. So let's keep going.
Jack Parsons, and keep in mind, Jack Parsons is also working with the government. He's now been given, special privileges on things. So they go to him, they say, Jack, all of this stuff that's happening right now, did you do this? Did you do this? And he said, I think so. Now, shortly thereafter, Jack Parsons blows himself up in a lab. Accidental. It was not intentional. The occult belief was that whoever opened up the portal had to close the portal. Well, Jack Parsons is now dead. And the federal government is now having to understand and depict exactly to the public what's happening here. And so this group is researching, and out of that group, they finally start to make some headway. They know they're dealing with entities. And so in all of that, they begin to try to make contact with those entities, maybe for some help, maybe because they're trying to figure out how to close this thing. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to undo what Jack Parsons did. So they go through satanic rituals to communicate, because that's the only method of communication that they know that works to contact these entities. In doing this, there's a small faction known as the Collins Elite. This is where our film picks up. The Collins Elite was a small group inside of this larger group that was originally created to get answers to all of this. But once they began to engage in satanic rituals and magic and alchemy, this group says, hey, you know what? This is not what we signed up for. This small group raises up. It's a faction. It's a counterpoint group, which means that they are no longer in agreement with the big group. They have a different opinion. They say, we have a Christian worldview. This goes against our Christian worldview. And so they see that entities are being channeled and communicated with, and now technology is being given through these rituals to these other members of the government. So the Collins Elite says, whoa, 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 this is dangerous. You guys are really playing with fire here. We can't support this. We can't do this. And they came up with this idea that the aliens were going to take over, and that in order to protect our country from the aliens, from the entities, they believed that we needed to instate a forced theocracy based on the law of Moses.
Wow.
Because they thought if our country would go back under the law of Moses, that we would be untouchable from these entities.
Do they have any reasons to believe so? Have you...
Okay, I'm going to stop that right there. For anybody that knows me, that might seem oddly self-serving, because I do believe in the law of Moses. I think there is, we read earlier about a group of people at the end of time who the serpent was after. And who were these people? These were the people keeping the law of Moses with the testimony of the Messiah. And Satan, the serpent, was after them above all else. He was not after the Baptists, the Methodists, the Pentecostals, or the Catholics, or the Hindus, or the Buddhists. He was after those who were keeping the commandments of God, the seed of the woman, and had a testimony of the Messiah, Yeshua. So anyway, so what did we learn from this video? That there was a group that rose up from within the government and said, we can't be a part of this. They were trading technology. These entities from another dimension were coming through, and they were wanting to trade technology to humanity at a cost of performing, they were doing satanic rituals to invoke these things from another dimension inside of our government. And this is all in the FBI file. And John D'Souza acknowledges all of these things in his video or his videos. But anyway, and we know, we've heard rumors, we hear things, about things, dark things deep within our government. Our presidents maybe even been involved in things that are, right now we're looking at Jeffrey Epstein, who his niece just came out and said, we were raised up. Everybody thought we were Jewish, but really we kept the cabal. We worship Baal, satanic, and the whole Jeffrey Epstein angle and how it infiltrated our government. And, without getting graphic about things, I think that our presidents have been involved in that. And go down the line, senators, congressmen. I think that there's a reason that file's not coming out. But anyway, and world leaders all around the world. And I think Jeffrey Epstein is just one of many. But anyway, there's a very satanic side to that as well. It all fits together very well with our Bible. So there's a group within the government that rises up and says, I don't care about that technology. We don't want any part of this. We our beliefs are, we cannot perform these satanic rituals because that goes against our beliefs in our God. And so they come up with the mindset, and this is not me saying it. It's on the FBI document 6571, I think, is the document number from the FBI, saying that the only way that they could not be deceived by these things apparently was by keeping the law of Moses. And I will tell you that is biblical, but that's another video for another day. That's exactly what it's saying in Revelation 12:2 and 14:12. But anyway, let's keep going. The next guy we're going to look at is a guy by the name of Lou Elizondo. He's one of the guys that became a whistleblower and sat down and put his hand on the Bible in front of the Senate and said, here's what I know. I've got to come forward. I've got to tell you what I know. By penalty of prosecution for lying, he came out, and he didn't come out empty-handed. He came out with some videos that we've probably all seen on Fox News and everywhere else, showing these spacecraft that have been documented by the Pentagon. He was in charge of a group in the United States government within the Pentagon that was investigating UFOs. And he finally quit the government and came out and became a whistleblower, and he'll tell the reason why. But anyway, he's going to confirm something that we just watched on the last video, and we'll play it and then we'll watch it, or then we'll talk about it.
Uncovered anything that shows that they
come on, get out of there. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I think it's this one. No, it's that one. No, it is that one. Okay, this is Lou Elizondo.
You became increasingly. There were people in the Pentagon, in the intelligence community, in private aerospace, who didn't want you investigating UAPs.
Absolutely. We began to run into some fierce resistance. And the more we continued to investigate, the increased level of that resistance became. There were elements, the only way I can describe them as religious fundamentalists.
It's a group that...
Okay, stop there. These religious fundamentalists believe that the only way not to be deceived was by keeping the law of Moses. He's getting ready to confirm what we just saw in that documentary that really nobody watched back in 2017. People are starting to watch it now, and there's a ton of information on that video. But anyway, we don't have time to play it all.
is euphemistically dubbed as the Collins elite, isn't it?
It is.
The Collins elite has long been rumoured to be a cabal of religious fanatics within the Pentagon. Many consider them a myth. Elizondo thinks otherwise.
That group is alive and well. It exists. I encountered elements of that group firsthand.
And they're gatekeepers inside the Pentagon who don't want the UAP story investigated.
That is correct, Ross. There are religious fundamentalists inside the Pentagon and inside the U.S. government, and specifically
Keeping
the
law of
intelligence
Moses,
community, that have a very, how shall I say, strict interpretation of their philosophical belief system.
Elizondo recounts
Keeping
one
Torah.
specific encounter with a high-ranking member of this so-called Collins elite.
He stopped me in the halls at the Pentagon. He said, "Have you read your Bible lately?" And I was kind of surprised by the question. Like, I mean, I know what the Bible says. What may I ask specifically? What do you mean? He says, "And you know what we're dealing with are demons. These are demonic beings, and we shouldn't be looking at them."
But aside from...
All right, that's really all I want to talk about on that. Over and over and over, we're seeing this same scenario that there are these beings, not from Alpha Centauri, but from another dimension that are coming into our dimension, that a portal was opened up by Jack Parsons during a satanic ritual in 1947 that opened up the floodgates of all of this, not only alien activity, but poltergeist activity. And it's been gaining and gaining and gaining from then till now. And that something about the year 2027, that we're going to be told that there's something coming, that we have to prepare humanity for what's coming by that time, because if they don't prepare them for what's coming, they're saying that the world is going to be so astonished by it, they're not going to know how to handle it unless they, break the news to them before that, and so that the world is not just caught off guard. Is basically the premise behind all of this. And again, I'm just showing things that are dealing with the timeline. There is so much information about the things that are happening that I'm not even talking about here with aliens. And we've always been of the belief that these aliens were not aliens. They are demonic. They are fallen angels. At some point will be fallen angels. Exactly what the Bible is telling us is coming. This fits very well with the Bible and this timeline. So what have we heard? We've talked about a group of elites already, a bloodline, in this several times. We've talked about things coming upon the earth that will basically put humanity into like a concentration camp surveillance state, and that's coming, in the same timeline. One of the whistleblowers that came out, that's exactly what he said. They're building a prison, an invisible prison around everybody. That invisible prison will be a surveillance state that you cannot escape from, and a space-based weapon system where they can literally call fire down from heaven. All of these things are very much biblical. And, there was something I wanted to make a point about on with Lou Elizondo. That wasn't just somebody in the hall that stopped him and talked to him and said, "Hey, have you read your Bible lately?" That was one of the Joint Chiefs from the Pentagon that called him aside and said, "Look, we want you to quit investigating this. We know that these are demons from the Bible." I know that people, I talk to people all the time. Are you paying attention to what's going on with the whole alien subject? And no, what's going on? Paul said that the world will be asleep, but we will not be asleep. And so, I'm making this video for people I love, hoping that they'll watch it and see what's going on. And whether it's the fact that they just don't have time to actually sit down and investigate it, and I get that. Most people don't. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't sleep a lot. Not everybody has the kind of time that I do, or a schedule that would allow for that. Secondly, I think just as real a problem is the fact that people don't want to look into the shadows and see what might be looking back at them. They're afraid to look at it. They're afraid to, they don't want to go there. And I get that too. I get it. I will say this on this subject of alien UFOs and aliens, on the subject of AI, and on the subject of the bloodlines. I've studied out a lot of things in my life. I've studied in depth a lot of things. I have never come under such a spiritual attack as what we've come under studying these three things. Things that are so far beyond coincidence. They're just one thing after another, after another, after another, trying to stop us from coming forward with what we're talking about here. I want to wind down with one thing. There is a bill that's going before the Senate and the House. It's already passed, I believe, the Senate. It didn't pass the House, I believe, last time, but it will pass this time. They've got the votes. It's going to pass in the fall of 2025, right on schedule. About the time of the fall feast in September, I believe this is going to go to a vote, and it will be passed. They already know they have it passed. It's called the UAP, or the UFO Disclosure Act, where they're going to unveil the truth to everybody, exactly what everybody else is saying, that by 2027 they've got to release this information to the world, because if they don't, people are going to be so shocked when it actually happens that they're not going to know how to deal with it.
Like I say, I've spent a lot of time in the litigation arena. You always want to handle everything on direct. You don't want somebody to bring something up on cross-examination that you didn't. It's a lot better to do this on friendly fire where you bring it up. We can certainly lose control of this narrative if whoever, whatever, from whichever world or not of this earth location decides they're going to have an event. They're going to land in Central Park, or they're going to land in some other country or something, and just say, surprise, here we are, debate's over. Then you do lose control of the narrative. And I would have to be saying to the government, if we have absolute irrefutable evidence, I would kind of want to bring that out before I lost control of the narrative, and all of a sudden they show up and it's like, yeah, we're stupid, we didn't know it. Or, yeah, we'll tell you now that we did, but we withheld it from you. It seems like they would want to get ahead of that.
So they've got, 2 years to unveil these things. And let's take a look. I had a little bit of problem with this. Maybe I won't this time. This is the actual UAP Disclosure Act bill.
Religious motivations for the
Okay. This is the actual bill that's coming up for a vote. Let me see. I can't see the side of my computer, but let me try and go up to the top. This is the UAP Disclosure Act. Anybody can go online and read it. It's getting ready to be passed by our House, I think. The UAP Disclosure Act, implications for congressional oversight and public awareness of the identified, unidentified, anomalous phenomenon. Now let's see if I can get it to work again. That's where I had trouble before. No, it's going to work. All right. What I want to do is go to the very last page for it kind of sums it up. And what I want to say about it before we go there, if you read through this, there's a lot of pages to it. And basically they go back to 1947 and they began laying out, all of these things that have happened from 1947 till now, and saying, we've got credible evidence that these things happen. And now we've got whistleblowers coming forward telling us amazing things, unbelievable things. And here's how it winds up, this is the final page of this document, and it's very telling, saying exactly what everybody else we've been listening to has said. In the final page, it says UAPs are accepted as a topic for serious consideration. Questions range from inquiries into the nature of reality, the impact on the mainstream worldview, to the strategic challenges of how to organize a whole of society response to a mass UAP encounter. They want to prepare people for a mass UAP encounter. Okay. Same thing, everybody. This is our government, right? This is being passed in September. This also includes the more prosaic consideration of how to process and adjudicate potentially unconstitutional and illegal activity by the executive branch over several decades. They are wanting immunity for lying to the people for the last 80 years, really, going back into the 30s even. They've been lying to the people, and they want immunity for that, and they will get it. That's the only way it'll pass. If the allegations intimated by the UAP Disclosure Act drafters, UAP is just another fancy name for a UFO. UFO Disclosure Act draft are confirmed true, the American public and the world at large will be challenged to update their worldviews in ways that require ideas and concepts not yet widespread in the mainstream society. The aftermath of that ontological shift is difficult to predict or manage, and it could result in psychological turbulence or discomfort for many. As with climate change, pandemic risk, and the advent of nuclear weaponry, this topic is one with the potential to impact all aspects of human life, including, here we go, personal beliefs about spirituality. This is going to change your belief about spirituality, about religion, and the meaning of life. But if humanity's response to recent global challenges is predictive at all, then our demonstrated resilience and adaptability may grant us hope for a future ahead. Okay, so let's stop and unpack that for a second. And I've known for a while, it's been leaked out. They've been saying it openly, since 2017. Lou Elizondo, many of these people are coming out saying, when this is unveiled, people are going to have to re-examine their belief in God, right? This is going to change everything you believe. Is there even a God? And, what's going to be told to us is a lie. And it's coming. And it's coming beginning at the fall of 2025, right in that time frame. That there really is no God. That we were created by aliens, and that these aliens eons ago created humans, made us, took a monkey and made humans out of us or something. I don't know exactly what they're going to say yet, but that they created humanity, and there is no God, that they are God. And, somebody else said that. Somebody else said, I remember reading about somebody saying that he will set himself up as God and proclaim that he is God. I think that's in the Bible. But anyway, that's what we're going to be told. And it's going to make people have to reevaluate their belief in God. Let's go back and look at two of the key points on this UAP Disclosure Act that, again, are it puts it all in a nutshell. Okay. Passing in, I believe, end of September. UAPs are accepted as a topic for serious consideration. Questions range from inquiries into the nature and reality of the impact on mainstream worldviews to the strategic challenges of how to organize a whole of society response to a mass UAP encounter. Chew on that for a minute. They are preparing people for a mass UAP encounter. Exactly the same thing that every other person we've watched videos on tonight has said. They're going to prepare us by 2027 for a mass UAP encounter. I have views on that, but I'm not going to get into that and what that's going to look like. But anyway, let's keep going. The second key point is at the bottom there. This topic is one of potential to impact all aspects of human life, including personal beliefs about God. Your belief about God, spirituality, religion, and the meaning of life. We're told that we're here basically as a test. We are stepping into a war that began with Adam and Eve and went a seed war that will come to a climax during this final tribulation, 3.5 years, the great tribulation that will come to a climax when the serpent and the remnant of the serpent are after the woman and the remnant of the seed of the woman who are keeping the Torah and have a testimony of the Messiah. Making the correlation between the Collins elite within our government who have said the only way that they could go through all of these things and not be deceived is by keeping the law of Moses. This all fits very well with Scripture. So anyway, we're about to be told that there is no God, and exactly what the Bible tells us is coming, that we're not really here in a seed war that's going on, and that we have to live our lives in a certain way to be, we have to accept the Messiah. We have to repent. We have to do these things. All those things are out the window, that God created humanity. All those things are going out the window, and we're going to be told a lie. Back to Matthew 24. When will these things be? What will be the sign of the coming, and when will be the end of the age? And I'm going to wind down with this, kind of where we began. I'm not sure if I still have it pulled up, but let's look at it. Yeah, I do. Okay. When will these things be? What will be the sign of that coming? If you want to know the sign of that coming, it answers that in chapter 24. This is in Matthew 24. It answers that question later down in the chapter in about verse 32. It tells exactly what the sign of his coming would look like and when it would be. It says immediately after the tribulation. Let's just look at it. We're setting up a timeline. So let's look at that timeline. I want to go to Matthew 24. And let's look at this timeline. I want to go to expanded because we may need that. It starts out in Matthew, and they're walking, and the disciples are walking with our Messiah, and they're telling him, look at this temple. How magnificent is this temple? And he goes on to tell them, verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And still to this day, that's the state of the temple. And then he goes on to say in verse 3, and they sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, asking, tell us, when will these things be? What will be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? I don't like that word, world. Actually, I think it should be an age. What will be the end of the age? Actually, if we look in the ESV, I think that's how they word it. Sign of your coming and the end of the age. And it actually answers the second question down in, I think, about verse 32, actually 31. Let's just read through it. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, when will these things be? Well, it'll be when will the sign of the Son of Man be? Well, it'll be immediately after the tribulation in those days. Shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man. So that answers the question. When will these things be? What will be the sign of thy coming? Here it is right here. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man immediately after the tribulation of those days in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds in the heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. We're all told to listen for this last trump, right? The last trump. Paul talks about it. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Well, I hope that I am in that elect. But we're putting a timeline together, and basically the first video in the series, we look at the final question. I said, when will these things be? And basically he's telling them, look, in 70 AD, this temple's going to get torn down. Then what will be the sign of thy coming? He addresses that in verse 31 of Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sign of the Son of Man, every eye is going to see it. It says, and the tribes of the earth will mourn. So those two questions are answered. But the final one, what will be the end of the age? And we define what an age is. An age is a 2,000-year time period. There are basically three ages, and then a millennial reign. You have the age from the fall of Adam up until Abraham is 50 years old specifically. And then you have from Abraham at 50 years old until our Messiah is nailed to a cross. And he says these words just before he gives up the ghost. He says, it is finished. Well, what is finished? That second age. And then it begins the final age. We know of that age as the age of grace, the age of the church age. I would, the age of the Gentiles would be a better definition. But let's look at that. An age. What is an age? When will these things be? What will be the sign of thy coming? And when was going to be the end of the age? And a biblical 2,000-year age refers to an interpretation of biblical chronology and prophecy that suggests major periods of history that are marked by roughly, this is AI, you got to take it with it's not roughly a 2,000-year duration. God is very accurate. It is exactly a 2,000-year time frame. Major periods of history that are marked by 2,000-year durations, often linking the idea of a 7 millennia, 7,000 years concept for world history, or the length of the current church age that we are in, or the final age, the church age, final 2,000-year time period, derived from 2 Peter 3:8, which states a day with Yahweh is 1,000 years. This view posts it's late. My eyes and my brain aren't working right together, but 2,000 years from the creation to Abraham, and specifically not just creation, but the fall of man when they were in the garden. From the fall of man till Abraham was 50 years old was added up, 2,000 years exactly. And then 2,000 years from Abraham to our Messiah, exactly. And specifically from the time Abraham's 50 years old until our Messiah is nailed to the cross and he said it is finished. That's 2,000 years exactly. And then a 2,000-year Christian age, a Gentile age, a church age of grace. We've all heard these uh, these things before, all leading up to a future millennial period. And basically, overall, that is pretty accurate. It is exactly, not approximately, a 2,000-year period. It's exact. And it is based upon the 7 days of creation, right? The Yahweh created the earth and the stars and the heavens and everything in it in 6 days. And then on the seventh day, he rested. He took a Sabbath rest. The history of the world will be on the same timeline, that for 6,000 years will be an age of humanity. And that seventh final 1,000 years will be an age of rest. Those first 6,000 years are broken up into 3 ages. It's called the age of creation, the age of chaos, I've heard it called. The second age from Abraham to our Messiah is the age of the patriarchs. I've heard it called the age of Torah, I think is also accurate, and I've heard it called both. And then from the time our Messiah was on the cross and he said, "It is finished," and he gives up the ghost. And it's like there's an hourglass that just the last of the sand just went through it, and it's turned over at that point and began the clock ticking of the final 2,000-year age. And, I am firmly convinced that our Messiah was born in 3 BC. I didn't used to think so. I thought, I wasn't sure, 2, 4, 6 BC. Nobody believes he's born in the year 0. But I've been convinced that he was born in 3 BC, and it's all on that first video, why and how. And I believe that he was crucified in the year 28 AD when he was 30 years old. And I tell how and why I came to that conclusion. I'm convinced that that's accurate. Nobody in the early church believed in a 3.5-year ministry of the Messiah. They all said it was about 1.5 years long. It wasn't until Eusebius, at the time of Constantine, 325 years after the Messiah, that they came along and said, well, let's give him a 3.5-year ministry, and then we can tie that in with Daniel 9:27. But that's a whole nother deal. I'm convinced that he had a 1.5 year long ministry, and he was crucified in 28 AD. But even if I'm wrong, if somebody says, Jeff, you're just wrong about that, we know he was crucified in 32 AD. All right, well, you just pushed it off 5 years. You're not gaining a lot. The end of the age then would be at 32 AD. What is the importance of that? Because that age ends, in my belief, in 28 AD. And what's the importance of that? Well, when will these things be? What will be the sign of thy coming? And when will be the end of the age? And then he goes on to tell the things that would happen at the end of the age. Bad things, really bad things. The worst time the earth has ever seen, including the flood of Noah, will be greater. The loss of life will be greater than the flood of Noah. So anyway, we kind of set all that up in the first video. In the second video, we're kind of establishing this timeline, but over and over and over now. I'm just showing you little snippets of the alien information that's out there, and the timeline associated with it is that it's going to almost be birthed in the fall of 2025, right in line with the fall feast in 2025, not by accident. Next week, we're going to look at AI. And once again, we're going to see the exact same timelines, 2025, the fall of 2025 specifically. that something is going to be loosed upon the earth. And I'll give you a little heads up. It's a beast system that will be loosed beginning in 2025, right exactly where we're at now. We are walking into this thing. And Paul said the world won't see it coming. They're going to, for whatever reason, they don't have time to look at it. And I get it. Or they just don't want to look down in that black hole and see if there's anything looking back. And I get that too, because there is some fear in that, and I get it. So next week we're going to dig into the AI. Let's kind of go and look at. Next week we're going to look at the AI, and the final week we're going to look at the bloodline that is in the shadows, working in conjunction with these things. Let's see if we can. I'm going to play just a snippet of what. It's not going to let me out. Backing on screens, maybe. Okay. Well, I tell you what, Satan is just at every turn, he makes it difficult. Okay. This. Okay, maybe this one. This is just a snippet. Is that the one I want? I think that's the one. This will give us kind of a little heads up what's coming next week. This is Mogadot, one of the creators of AI. This is just a little bit of what we're going to be talking about next time. And, you know, everywhere you look, this timeline, here it is right here. AI will take over in 2027. These years are interwoven through all of these subjects.
This is an Oppenheimer moment. I think it's between 2025 and 2027. They're not going to happen next year. They've already happened. You're just not discussing them. And that the dilution of the...
Okay. That's kind of a, a sample. Let me back it up because I'm going to need it later. Of what's coming. Warnings from not people just working kind of around AI. These are the creators of AI warning that it is about to get really bad for humanity really quick. And really, it's too late to stop it. All of these things we're going to be looking at fit squarely into that tribulation timeline. They're not kind of like what's described in the tribulation. They are exactly what is described in the tribulation. And so, anyway, guys, we love you. We're going to wind it down and hope to see you back next week.